きつせいでよレッドアイスブラックドラゴン
Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's episode review. This time, we will be going over episode 24 of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's Otis versus Roman, Rook, and Gakuto, as Yuga and Roa kind of hang out and figure things out on their own, and we see the return of an OG classic, one of my favorite monsters ever, Red Eyes Black Dragon, returning to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime for the first time in almost an entire decade. The last time he was featured in an episode of any Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, it was Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, I want to say like episode 14, in that Dojo statue duel. So to see Red Eyes Black Dragon back in Rush Duel form, to see him have his own chant was incredible. As you know, one of my favorite monsters of all time, and when it was shown in the preview of 24 after 23 aired that he was going to be involved in this show, I was very excited, and I thought that they did my boy justice. But let's get to my thoughts on the episode. I thought this was another really good episode. I loved 23. You guys know that. I said 23 was one of the best episodes I've seen in years in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise, and I thought 24 was another really strong episode. I thought it was a typical and really well done table setter for the final duel of this arc and quite possibly the season between Yuga and Neil. We know Yuga and Neil is going to be episode 25. We know the season, or I should say the arc, because we don't know if the season will end, but this arc ends after episode 26, and we know there's a good chance Yuga versus Neil is going to be a 2-episode duel. And if that's the case, this episode had to act as a transitional piece to get everything set up for Yuga versus Neil. And when I think about if the episode did a good job doing that, I thought the episode did a great job doing that. And it accomplished a lot of what it needed to do in that regard, because the one thing going into the final Yuga and Neil duel that a lot of us knew had to happen was the 3 strikes, or I'm sorry, the 5 strikes, that if they got to 6 strikes, Rush Duels or the accounts would be deleted. And so we knew going into the final duel, it's Yu-Gi-Oh!, they have to be at 5 strikes. And going into episode 23, we were all like, all right, well, there's only 4 episodes left in this season. How on earth are they going to get 5 more strikes and penalties, or 4 more strikes, excuse me, to get to that 5? And this episode did that perfectly. They had 2 penalties going into the episode, and because it was Roman, Rook, and Gakuto dueling Otis, who is considered by Goha Systems to be on Team Yuga, Otis says very brazenly at the beginning of this duel, he says, listen, if you want to duel me, that's fine, show your resolve, but even if you beat me, you're getting 3 penalties, and you're going to be 1 penalty away from losing your entire accounts. And I'll be honest, Roman, Rook, and Gakuto were very steadfast. They knew that they had to do this, and that just goes to show the friendship and trust that they have in Yuga being able to figure things out, right? Because the reason that they even all end up in Otis's labyrinth, in Otis's palace underground where everything first began, was because they were searching for answers on how to defeat Neil, and ultimately searching for help to give to Yuga, because this is the first time in the show, and probably the first time in their friendship with Yuga, that none of them have any idea what to do. They have never seen Yuga in this state. We as the viewer have never seen Yuga in this state, and so they are frantically searching for answers, and it's so fitting that they go back to the place where everything began. Their friendships, this journey, everything. And Otis, it was very interesting that they called Otis and they summoned Otis, and it makes me really believe that Otis is very much alive. I know a big theory is that maybe he's dead and these are holograms of him. I think whoever Otis is, and I think there is a decent chance that it's Mr. Goha, by the way. I am not putting that theory to death. I think whoever is controlling Otis through the holographic technology that they have, they are able to really pop up and show up wherever they want. I think that the ruins, and maybe because he's a former Goha member, so he probably has access to all the data points and all the entry points in the entire city of Goha, and so Otis is able to really show up wherever he wants. The way that they made it seem where he appeared at the Rock and Rush Hall, where Roa and Yuga had his duel, and they had a little mini 3v3 best-of-3 tournament. That made it seem like Otis was destined to appear there, whether people were there or not. That's the vibe that I got while that mini arc was going on. But based on this episode, he literally can just appear whenever he wants, and he knows everything that has already happened. They don't need to explain the situation. He already knows about maximum summoning, and he challenges these three to a duel and says, yeah, if you beat me, I'm going to give you the information that you need. And so the duel begins, and I'll get into what Yuga's doing during this and my thoughts on that, but the duel begins, and great opening turn because, well, it's my favorite monster, one of my favorites. Red Eyes Black Dragon comes out. He uses the spell card Inferno Fire Blast. What's really funny about that is he doesn't actually say a spell card. He says, I'm going to use Red Eyes Black Dragon's effect. And it makes it seem, especially to newer viewers, that Red Eyes Black Dragon was able to attack on the very first turn, which is obviously not the case, but Inferno Fire Blast allows you to inflict Red Eyes' attack as damage, and you just can't attack with Red Eyes when you activate the card for the rest of the turn, but that's irrelevant in the very first turn because you can't attack with him anyway. So it worked out really well for Otis, a very typical standard first turn Red Eyes Black Dragon combo. So that was really, really awesome to see. The duel, even though Roman and Rook were in it, this was Gakuto's duel. This was Gakuto's moment. I know a lot of people have wanted Gakuto to get a win, to have a moment, and this was it. I thought Gakuto was actually great in this episode. I thought the, for lack of a better word, resolve that he showed was awesome. He finally summons Yame Ruler on a horse, which is an amazing, amazing ace. He ends up leading the charge for this episode. He really was the group leader, and he was the main focal point, and he ends up getting the win against Otis. Roman and Rook off screen also take care of business. They beat Otis, and Otis says, what you are seeking, you have within you. And he leaves. It's a very non-answer, isn't it? It's a very non-answer, or so it seems. It seems like it's a non-answer. But after Otis gives that answer and disappears, Roman, Rook, and Gakuto all start thinking about their memories with Yuga, their friendship with Yuga, the fact that Yuga, in Roman's case, knew she was a spy and didn't care, and still treated her with respect and treated her like a friend. The fact that he helped Gakuto when he was being swamped with all of those jobs at the student council position, and the fact that he helped Rook get back on path during that Schrodinger duel. And they start to come to this realization that they do have what it takes to help Yuga defeat Neil. And every time they discuss what it's going to take, the audio kind of cuts out and they cut away. And we still don't know, and obviously that's going to get revealed in this episode or in the next episode, because at the very end of 24, I think Roman, Rook, and Gakuto propose something, because there's a little bit of a cut in the dialogue, in my opinion, at least when I watched it. And Yuga is just like, what? You guys can't do that. And they're like, no, we can't. It was something along those lines. And I was like, it's very interesting that they are not really telling us what's happening. I'm not sure if they are going to be giving Yuga their ace monsters. I really don't know what. But whatever they're planning, Otis was right. It was within them all along. And they just had to duel Otis. They had to kind of get on the brink of getting their accounts deleted to get to this point. So very well set up in that regard. Yuga, meanwhile, is trying to find himself. He's trying to get his swagger back, if you will. And that was a really weird phrase. I don't know why I just used that phrase. Haven't heard that phrase in 10 years. He goes to Roa's apartment, which is really fascinating that he chose to go speak to Roa rather than Rook, Gakuto, and Roman. And you know what? It's not uncommon. There have been parts in my life where sometimes I want an opinion of a more outside friend, someone that I consider an acquaintance, maybe even not a friend, that's not one of my best friends. And I think we've all been there before. Sometimes it's best to get opinions from people who are going to give it to you straight. And I think it's important for friends to be honest with you, but sometimes it's hard when it's a best friend. And I think Yuga knew if he went to Rook, Roman, or Gakuto, they would have been very sympathetic. They would have been very supportive. And there's part of me that thinks Yuga went to Roa because he wanted Roa to kind of talk down at him, and he thought that might be more beneficial to him. And Roa does. Roa's able to snap him out of it. He makes coffee and some Keurig that I guess he has in his apartment. He makes a fun curry joke when Roman gives him a call. and he really does snap Yuga out of it in a way that I'm not sure the other three were going to be able to. And I think it was a very wise decision to go to Roa, because he knew that Roa was going to give it to him straight, whereas the other three were going to be more emotionally sympathetic. He's not going to get that same sympathy from Roa, and I think it makes sense why he went to Roa's apartment. So, and that just also plays in and speaks to the narrative of how intelligent of a character Yuga is, to even be able to identify that, that Roa is going to be the best resource to go to in this situation, speaks volumes to how Yuga is as a person. Yuga snaps out of it. He runs to Roman, Rook, and Gakuto, and the final 2-minute sequence, very end of season, even end of show. Obviously, the show's not ending, but very end of season, like as they get ready for their next big duel, Yuga versus Neil. The season, maybe the season, definitely the finale of the Maximum arc, starting this Friday in episode 25, where we're going to see Neil Maximum summon, and we are most likely going to see Yuga Maximum summon that massive Gundam that we saw at the beginning of this show and that we continue to see every time Opening 1 airs. So it's going to be a duel. And remember, in that episode 1 shot of the mecha, Roman, Rook, and Gakuto are in the mecha with Yuga. How crazy would it be if all 4 of them somehow go into the mecha like they do at the beginning of episode 1 in that, vision or that dream that Yuga was having, and they literally have to control the mecha and fight Neil's massive dragon. Goa City is going to be a battlefield over these next 2 episodes, and I can't wait. Something that was crazy in the preview, there was it looks like a poster or a cardboard cutout of Red Eyes Black Dragon, Dark Magician, and Blue Eyes White Dragon, and they're also, it looked like they were in like a Goha laboratory as these Goha employees were looking at the legendary monsters. Not sure if that's going to be a tie-in to any older show, not sure if that's going to be a tie-in to anything. Obviously, the people that made those monsters famous in the main Yu-Gi-Oh world was Yugi Moto, was Joey Wheeler, and was Seto Kaiba, and you wonder if Goha is extensively researching these legendary monsters. You wonder if they might mention or hint at the existence of one of those characters in the next episode. So that is something to really look forward to, and I am so excited to see why Dark Magician and the other 2 are being researched and being displayed in this Goha facility. That is going to be a really cool callback. And of course, the duel between Yuga and Neil is going to be great. But guys, that wraps up my thoughts on episode 24 of Sevens. Please let me know all your thoughts down below. And a special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, Panther J, Blue Maiden 28, Jarrett Buller, and Aura Dragon. And to my Diamond tier patrons, Jesse Wood, Latrell Smith, Pegasus Seiya, and Anime Kaput, and to my Egyptian God tier patrons, Chase Connelly and XZ's Lover 104. Thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon and who is a YouTube channel member. You guys help me out so much. I stream over on Twitch. You guys have been supporting me like crazy on Twitch. We are kind of right at the cusp of potentially becoming a Twitch partner. Average viewers in the low 60s, and that is really mind-boggling since the average viewers were in like the low 40s, high 30s when I first started not that long ago. So the growth there has been amazing. Follow me if you are into more streaming stuff. I'm live there every Monday and Thursday. And yeah, thank you all so much for your amazing support. I will talk to you down below, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, guys.